The Terraria run of all Terraria runs. A run that should be impossible because the starter weapons are literally borderline unobtainable, but somehow just obtainable enough that we're able to start this run. So here's how I completed one of the more ridiculous subclasses in Terraria, one that is just barely possible, but possible enough to beat. Spell Books Only. So we start this run off by getting some wood, like we always do. Okay, well that's the same. Well, at least this is different. I've never seen the entrance to the underground desert spawn like this. It's very unusual. I'm not sure if this is like a thing, but I mean, it doesn't matter because I tried to explore it to see if I could find the chest, and of course I ended up dead. Who would have known? Wow, it's almost as if the underground desert should not be explored by someone with no gear and no weapons. So I decided to explore the regular underground instead, since, you know, that didn't go too well. And this worm just would not stop bothering me. No matter how much I tried, he just would not stop bothering me, and eventually ended up killing me because I have no way of defending myself. So I ended up making my way back down and of course died again. And then I searched 2 chests, one of which had nothing in it basically, and the second one had a mace. This would have been useful a whole video ago. Thank you for being so useless, underground chest. We love you so much. I went ahead and I collected a life crystal, and then I found some crimtane, which I decided to bomb so I could start preparing to make a magluminescence. I found another chest, this time with Hermes booch, which is something that's a lot more useful than the last 2. And then the next one had an extractinator. Not the best item. But then I found the anklet of the wind in the next chest. So I mean, listen, that's pretty good. I crafted an amethyst hook and then searched another chest, this time containing the band of regeneration, which is okay. And then I collected some more life crystals, searched a couple more chests. Nothing too crazy in these. I did get warding Hermes boots, which is really good. And then I crafted some gold armor so that I don't die so easily. I searched even more chests, this time containing some pretty mediocre stuff, like we can't really make use of feral claws or even a shotgun. I mean, unless that's the new type of spell book we're going to be using nowadays, we can't use a shotgun. No thank you. By this point, I'm trying to just look for some useful accessories, which unfortunately we're not finding. So I was able to craft one myself, that being the magluminescence, you know, the best accessory. And then I was even able to upgrade my amethyst hook to a diamond hook, which is a really big upgrade. The diamond hook's range is pretty damn good. And then I found a pair of shoe spikes, which also have warding on it, which is even better for us. So by this point, I'm running out of things to do underground. I can't really get much more since my gear is pretty much as best as it can be, and I can't attack anything because I don't have a spell book yet. So I went home, I built the house up, I got it all set up, and I decided to use a teleportation potion to see where it leads me. It led me really close to the dungeon, which is exactly where I needed to go. And you might wonder, why would you want to be near the dungeon? Well, if I haven't explained it already, I'm gonna need one of 2 books to even start this run. One of which is gonna be the water bolts. The water bolt is only obtained in the underground portion of the dungeon, which you can only get to if you kill Skeletron. Or can you? When it comes to getting the water bolts in a dungeon, normally you'd have to kill Skeletron to obtain it, but there's another way. If you've been playing Terraria long enough, you would know of this strategy called hoiking. Hoiking is something you can use to travel quickly or even phase through blocks. And essentially my plan here is to go around the dungeon, as much of it as I can, and look for a single light source that shows the bookshelf in the dungeon and see if I can find a water bolt and then hoik inside and grab it. Sounds easy, right? Well, not exactly the easiest thing I've done. So since I couldn't really find too many light sources in my dungeon, I decided that I should just hoik into random walls and see where it takes me. Well, first off, I had to learn how to hoik because I didn't actually know how to do that properly. And then I started hoiking and I died over and over and over and over and over again. This would be repeated over the course of the next 2 hours. I tried changing sides. I've done 4 or 5 different sides of this dungeon. I repeatedly ran through. I've done so many different things, and no matter what I did, I just kept dying over and over and over again. I'm gonna show you the chat of the amount of times I died. It's just constant death, and this isn't even all of it, so I gave up. Okay, well, I didn't actually give up. I decided that maybe I should just do the other book. The other book is the Demon Scythe book, which drops from demons. And as you can imagine, killing a demon with no weapon is kind of difficult. You know, they have a lot of health and they deal a lot of damage, and it's also hard to trap them. So after killing quite a few demons, I gave up on this one as well and decided maybe I should just try making another world. Because clearly my world had 0 water bolts, and I needed to find one because this demon killing took way too long. I'm already 4 hours in and I have no progress. So I made a new world, I explored the new dungeon, and would you look at this. Look what I found. Oh my god. Holy crap. Is that the book? Is that the book? Holy sh! No way, bro. There's no way that's it right there. There's no way. This took way too long. Holy crap. There's no way that's it right there. Oh my god, it's right there. I can't reach it. I can't reach it. I got it. Oh my god. That took so long. Holy shit. I was this close to stopping this whole thing. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute. Yo, I got no mana. I got nothing. Finally, though. Yep, that's it. I finally got the book. That took way too long. I kid you not. That took way too long. I couldn't do it anymore. I was starting to lose my mind. And we got it just in time for the Eye of Cthulhu fight, which I surprisingly was able to do with only 60 mana. This wasn't a bad fight with someone who has literally no mana potions or anything. It was still successful. Perfect. Beautiful. That's all we needed. And now by this point, I went to the Crimson and I destroyed an orb because I didn't destroy any orbs yet. I completely forgot about this. I need this so the Goblin army has a chance to spawn. And while I was waiting for them, I went to the jungle and I killed a bunch of enemies so I could get the full set of jungle armor. So now I have a full set of mage gear. And now it's just grabbing some more accessories before we fight Skeletron, the Goblin army. By the time they spawned, I did take them out pretty easily because the water bolt is like literally the best weapon when it comes to killing a group of enemies like this. And now that the Goblin army's dead, I'm able to combine and upgrade a bunch of my accessories, which sets me up perfectly to fight the Brain of Cthulhu. I went ahead to the Crimson and I set up an arena for the Brain fight, and I just started it straight away. This fight was an absolute cakewalk. I mean, the water bolt destroys any enemy that's inside of a box like this. The bolts just bounce back and forth and deal tons of damage and made this fight pretty much a joke. The best part is I didn't even need to fight him. I just did it just to get it out the way. So with him down, I'm now able to get a bunch of Hellstone and upgrade my pickaxe and my axe to the Hellstone variants, which I'm not going to need these quite yet, but I got them ready just so when I'm ready to go into hard mode, I don't have to worry about it. And now I'm all set up and ready for Skeletron. Now, when it comes to Skeletron, I expected this to go a lot smoother than it actually did. It turns out the water bolt is probably one of the worst weapons to use against him because it just was not dealing a lot of damage and I literally almost ran out of time. This fight all around was just kind of a mess. It was all over the place and just not really that good. I'm glad that I got it out the way though, and I could finally enter the dungeon legitimately without using any hoiks or other strategies. And I was only here for one thing, and that's the Cobalt Shield. After searching quite a few chests, I finally did end up finding the Cobalt Shield, and by this point, we're ready to start setting up for the Wall of Flesh. I have a good feeling this fight will go pretty smooth though. I know the Water Bolt is one of the powerhouses when it comes to fighting the Wall of Flesh. So after buffing up a bit, I pretty much proved what I said correct. It was a really easy fight since the Water Bolt literally shreds through this boss like it's nothing. It's top 10 weapons for Wall of Flesh guaranteed, maybe even top 5. You know, I really don't mind some of these fights being easy early on because I'm just gonna enjoy it while it lasts, because this definitely isn't how it's gonna go throughout the whole run. Well, since he's dead, now I can start gathering all the... Wait, is that a surface mimic? I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. Where did that even come from? What the? Anyways, I can now start destroying a bunch of altars and getting all the ores I need for gear. Because by this point, I'm gonna need to upgrade my spell book, which is pretty interesting. We got a couple options here, and by a couple I mean a solid 2. Basically. There would be 3, but one needs the corruption and my world is not corruption. So I'm gonna not use that book. I know I can convert it using mods, but I'm gonna try to be fair and only use the book that I can obtain in my world. So for option number 1, I have the Crystal Storm. This book is pretty easy to obtain. It just requires a bunch of souls of light, a couple of crystals, and some other things. Not the hardest to craft, but arguably the better of the two, giving its damage. And that's the first one I'm gonna be going for. And now that I have this one, it's gonna make it even easier to farm for the Golden Shower, which is the second book. This book is pretty interesting because it has a lot of defense lowering, which I'm not even sure how useful that is, but I use it quite a bit just to lower defense of the enemies that I'm fighting. I don't even know how much of a difference it makes, if I'm going to be honest with you, but I mean, it did something, I think, right? Anyways, this one's pretty easy to craft as well. Just need to kill a couple of the Ichor stickers and get a bunch of Souls of Night, and that's it. These 2 books are really easy to obtain, and the downside is they're the only 2 books we're going to have for the next like 4 bosses. So yeah, we're gonna get comfortable with these. Doesn't get any easier from here, believe it or not. It only gets harder. So by this point, I pretty much have everything I need to start the mechanical boss fights. Since I can't get any more weapons or armor, so I have no choice but to start these fights. I'm gonna start with the Destroyer since he seems like he would be the easiest boss to do, but come to find out, he was pretty difficult. He did a lot of damage to me. He did a lot more damage than I thought he would, but overall the fight didn't go too bad. I just need to not get cocky and act like I'm playing melee of some sort and I have a bunch of defense, because that is not true. Those lasers that the pros shoot do way more damage than I thought they would, and I did not bring a heart reach potion, which is pretty essential for fighting the Destroyer if you want to survive easily. But thankfully, wasn't too bad. The Ichor Golden Shower is really good here compared to the Crystal Storm because it pierces really well. And now for the next boss, which is the Twins. This one is a bit more difficult because the Spasmatism does a lot of damage, but other than that, once you pretty much take the Spasmatism down, the fight becomes a joke. I feel like that's the usual for the Twins. The Spasmatism is literally all the damage, and then the Retinator is just there. Unless you're playing like Summoner and have no defense, it doesn't really deal that much damage to you. Hey, look at this nice parry, I guess you could call it. That was pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, the Twins are down. Not too bad. Overall, pretty easy fight. And so far, you know, these two books are performing really well. Surely it doesn't get any worse than this, right? Well, hopefully not, because now we have Skeletron Prime, which also really isn't a difficult fight. That's really weird. I thought this would be harder, but remember, since these books have so much range, I don't really need to get too close to these enemies to deal a bunch of damage. It's kind of safe almost, and it does decent enough damage. Skeletron did take half of the night to kill, which I think is standard for most fights, but I mean, so far so good, right? Surely it can't be that bad. Well, here's the thing. When it comes to using these books, the Golden Shower isn't the issue here. It's the Crystal Storm. When I be fighting these bosses, I'm not using any sort of mana potions or accessories that give me mana. I'm not. It's just, I don't do that. I don't play like that. And the reason being is because they changed the way mana potions worked a while ago, and they debuff you when you use them too frequently. And the Crystal Storm drains your mana so fast that I don't really want to use those potions, so I don't want to get that debuff on me. And I'm stubborn. I'd rather just wait for the mana to regen with mana regen potions because it's pretty good the way it is. So basically, I'm going a full damage build. I'm going to fight the Wall of Flesh 2 more times to get a Celestial Emblem and an Avenger Emblem so that I can just get a bunch of damage boosts, which I'll be changing these out for now. But I'm going to need as much damage as I can to kill the bosses as quickly as possible because I have low defense, my mobility is pretty okay, and overall, the whole mana situation kind of screws me over. I feel like this run would be a lot easier if I was able to constantly shoot, but that just wasn't the case. That might be a skill issue on my part. Maybe mana potions aren't that bad, but it's fine. Makes it a little more interesting, I guess. I can't just hold left click the whole time. So before that, I went to the jungle and I collected a bunch of chlorophyte so that I could prepare for post-Plantera, not pre-Plantera. This is for post-Plantera because I need to get Spectre armor. I picked up a quick Aegis fruit for an extra 4 defense, and now I'm just setting up the Plantera arena, which I destroyed the whole bottom thinking that this would be enough space, but I quickly found out that I needed more space than I thought here. Yeah, so when it comes to Plantera, she just didn't seem like she would be a bad fight, but I don't really have high damaging weapons, first of all, and high damaging piercing weapons, which means Plantera is a huge threat in second phase, which caused me to get chased out of my own arena. I mean, she owns this jungle, but like, goddamn, give me a chance. She chased me out of my own arena and ended up killing me. So things didn't really go as planned, and the weakness of these books is starting to show. So how do we solve the issue with her killing me and chasing me out of my arena? Well, we make the arena even bigger. Of course, that's what I thought would help, but I still got chased out anyways. Unfortunately for her, I was able to kill her, thankfully, because I almost died again. And now we're able to start heading to the dungeon and farm for some new items, which I completely forgot existed. And by items, I mean a book. There's a specific book in here that I'm gonna get called the Magnet Sphere. This is like Mage's little minion in a way. You can shoot it and it does a bunch of damage, and it even bounces off walls apparently, which I didn't know. And it didn't take too long to get, surprisingly. And I found that it does a pretty good amount of damage. It's not bad, and it was only really useful for one boss fight, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, I also got the Paladin Shield because this is gonna allow me to go get some Flesh Knuckles from a Crimson Mimic and then upgrade that into a Hero Shield, which, like I said last video, is gonna be a 10 defense Cobalt Shield, essentially. That's basically all it is, a 10 defense Cobalt Shield. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that I have a full set of Spectre armor using the DPS helmet, not the healing one. I'm not going to touch the healing one. I don't really have interest in that. I don't think it'll be useful anyways, but we have the DPS healing helmet, and now we're ready to start preparing for Golem, which I don't have much preparation to do since I have everything already. I did make a little honey pit in the corner, if that even does anything. And really, that's it. This fight alone is a pretty difficult one because we have a very little amount of space, and he does a lot of damage to us. So it's primarily just me trying not to get skill issued and dying while hoping the Magnet Sphere does enough damage to kill him. And it was one of the closer fights, I will say. Besides Plantera, it did get pretty close here and there. And you could also say that I don't have max HP, which I will solve in a bit, because farming this guy is a bit of a pain, and I do need to farm him a couple times for some accessory pieces that I'm gonna need. But we did beat him the first time, which is basically the first goal. Defeat him once, and hopefully it'll be easier every other time. Now, while it didn't really get easier every other fight, it didn't really get harder either. And to be honest, I'm just enjoying my time with the Magnet Sphere before it's gone, because this is the only place I found where this book was useful. It wasn't worth farming for, and I'm glad I got it early because it's good and it does damage, but it's not useful beyond this point. This book was just a waste. Well, since we killed the Golem a bunch of times, I was able to get all the accessories that I needed from him, and then I farmed the Solar Eclipse a little bit so I could get a couple more pieces so I can make the Celestial Shell. And with this in hand, we pretty much have the best set that I think is good for us, and this is all we're gonna get up until Duke Fishron. That's it. Now I'm gonna go get a Truffle Worm and pray for the best. This boss is my worst nightmare. I don't like fighting him, and I didn't really see how this would be possible, given our weapon loadout is kind of, you know, mid-tier, and it's start of hard mode weapons, but somehow, some way, it's possible to kill this boss enough times to get the Razorblade Typhoon. And I'll tell you what, this drove me absolutely insane. This boss is a test of skill and a test of patience. I cannot with fighting him. Gotta be the hardest boss I fought this entire run, hands down. But it could just be the fact that I literally never fight Duke, so maybe it's just a skill issue. But then again, bosses inflicting debuffs like Confusion on you is kinda BS, no? Confusion? What? Did he just... Oh my god. I got hit with Confusion. Okay, cool. From what? I have no fucking idea. That's fun. That's really fun. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Alright. I was literally gonna win, and then I just randomly get hit with fucking Confusion. Like, what? Oh my god. Finally. Oh my god. This boss is such a pain in the ass to beat. Please. I don't think I'm gonna get it first try, but it would be cool. I did not. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Thank god. Please. Cool. Oh my god. Nice. Got another one. Oh my god, I got it. Oh my god, I got it. I'm done. Please, I'm done. 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 I'm finally done. I'm finally done. That's it. Oh my god. I hate everything. I don't like fighting Duke Fishron. Yeah, that may not have seemed like much or that it didn't take that long, but I cut all that out. I can promise you it took quite a while, and I did not enjoy fighting Duke Fishron this time around. He's always just a bundle of joy, isn't he? I mean, I'm glad I got the book though. I got it fairly early too. I think that only took about 3 kills, and we also got the Shrimply Truffle, which didn't really prove too useful this time around, but we'll make do with what we got. And when it comes to the cultist fight, this was pretty straightforward. Since we have the Razorblade Typhoon, which is just a homing disc or something, it pretty much just does the job for us. The rest of the Lunar Evasion is also really easy. This is one of the easier ones because it just homes in and kills everything for you. It does pretty decent damage and it moves semi-quick, so this whole 4-pillar fight wasn't the worst this time around. It still took a while, but it wasn't that bad. And now when it comes to Moonlord, this is where it becomes a little bit of an issue because we are running a mage build which doesn't have a lot of defense, and I'm also using a homing weapon, which means I can't really selectively kill each individual eye in the speed I would like, and preferably that would be all at once. Since it homes in, I have to kill them in the order that the Razor Blade Typhoon feels like killing them in, and that becomes a little bit of a problem because it makes this fight a bit harder. Thankfully, the typical strat that I used ended up working anyways, and it just took a little bit of luck to get this fight down. It was a really long fight because the Razor Blade Typhoon does not deal as much damage as you think it would. It's kind of a low damaging weapon, but honestly it makes sense because it's just straight up homing, so it kind of just does the work for you. I just have to focus on dodging and just hold left click. But with that being said, we did the fight. That's right. Oh my god. Look at the books we have. Look at this. This is all we had. We had 4 books. 5, if you count the water bolt. Pretend this is the water bolt. We had 5 books this whole run. This is a interesting class. A pretty terrible one at that. It's somehow good enough to beat the entire game with only those books. And look what we got. The last book. That was hell. That was actually hell. The start of this run was hell and the end was hell. Holy crap. But we did it. We did it.